3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7,
Hello, my name is Bill Haley, and this is for Haley 2024, The Movement's Government Reform Ideas. Now, this video is going to be on violent crimes. Violent crimes in the new CRA structure. What we're doing is creating a competitive regulatory agency structure. It's called competitive governance. I am proposing a new U.S. Constitution of America, United States of America's Constitution. It will replace the full Constitution and also create the new state constitutions. The same Constitution with the words federal, state, and actually local constitutions as well. So it creates 3 levels of government, just like we currently have. But it's a radical change, but it's a modest proposal because we're going to do it with less government, lot more free enterprise, a lot more freedom, a lot more liberty. So what we're doing is, let me explain the whole system to you, then I'll explain how violent crime is related to this. So this is going over the Constitution. I have a lot of pages on my website, haley2024.org, that explains everything. So let's go through this. First thing you have to understand is we're going to separate all government power into 30 sectors. So the person in charge of the diplomats is different than people in charge of environmental policies. That's different from education, different from roads, different from police, different from family law. So we separate everything into 30 sectors with top level elected leaders per sector. Top executive leaders, top legislative leaders, top judicial leaders in every sector. So everybody's separate. We keep the 3 levels of government just like we do, but so federal, state, and local still there. Let's go to the next one. This is going to be what we're talking about here, the violent crime mitigation system, but violent crime is going to be the focused on today's video. So, in each sector, so all 3 levels of government, and within each sector, we have 30 sectors. Within each sector, we have roughly 12 different competitive regulatory agencies. These are full governmental systems with executive, legislative, and judicial powers. So they govern you. My neighbor picks the one they want, and they govern them. Lady down the street, she picks what she wants, and they govern them. You get governed by the governing agency that you want to be governed by. So you have to select a governing agency per sector, and only that governing agency affects you. My neighbor's governing agency, unless we pick the same one, only affects him. Mine only affects me and not him. So we can have different family law, we can have different environmental law, we can have different labor law, we can have different insurance or banking laws. That all can happen. Only a few things need to be moved up to the monopolized level, and we're going to talk about that because we're talking about violent crime. That's going to be moved up to the monopolized governance level, which is called on this screen sector board, which that's what it is, the sector boards. That's a monopolized governance for that one sector. So violent crime is monopolized, but only the definition of a violent crime and the punishments for the violent crime. That deals with prosecutors as well. That's not going to be monopolized. That's going to be at the CRA level. So you pick the governing the prosecutors you want. My neighbor picks the prosecutors they want. Now, everybody has to get authorized. There still has to be education. There's a lot of accountability in the system. So let's go through the system real quick. Let's go through the Constitution, and then we'll go from there. Constitution has a great preamble, so look at that when you get a chance. The first one is citizenship. Then general laws. Every constitution needs this general laws. Bylaws is internal governance, of every organization. Federal, state, and local, it describes that a little bit. Original authority, it says whether the state, the federal, or the local has the highest level of authority, or the CRA level, sector board level, or the parent sector board has the highest level. And the CRA is going to have the highest level in most areas. Supermajority, if it's monopolized governance, it has to be at a 70% supermajority. So almost everything stays at the CRA level. So then we have the parent sector board, how that's structured. The CRA sector boards, how that's structured. Competitive regulatory agencies is 90% of what we're talking about. Everything else is built to support the competitive regulatory agencies. Definitely the parent sector board, the sector boards, the rating systems, all that's there to support the CRAs. The rating system is still a full governmental system. It's a mirror image of the CRA side, but it's to give you high quality information from a wide variety of perspectives. And it's also to create some rating floors. If you create rating floors on negative externalities, means that not so much has to go up to the monopolized level on the competitive regulatory agency side. So then we have taxation and debt, how we deal with the taxation. A lot of it's going to go to CRA fees from the CRAs that you choose, but then there are going to be some things that we have to jointly take care of together. For example, paying for the military. Debt, how we deal with the debt, going from one constitution to the next, and going from free enterprise. Going from government owning a ton of stuff right now to government owning like nothing. We sell it all off to the free enterprise system or to the CRAs, and that's going to help pay down our debt. Pockets of freedom is immigration and foreign policy. State partial acceptance per sector it's an important thing to try to get this thing passed. So the separation of responsibilities and authorities. Let's go over all of them real quick. We're going to talk about all 30 sectors. And I'm not going to do it all in this video, but here's 5 in the charity system, because we get rid of welfare altogether, go to a charity system. Foreign protection system, 5 different sectors, elected leaders per sector. Nobody's in charge of more than one sector, either legislative, executive, or judicial. No one person is in charge of more than one sector. Here's a section we're going to be concentrating on today, and we're going to be concentrating on Sector 11 today. I have overviews of the whole thing if you want to look at that. Here's 5 more sectors, 5 more sectors, 5 more sectors. If you want to go back and pause and look at them, you can, but I have an overview, and I'll have videos out on every one of them. No, it's important to understand what competitive regulatory agencies are, because everything's built around that to support it. They're full governmental systems. They regulate, they govern, and they send representatives up to the monopolized sector board level. This happens at the city, state, and federal. So each level of government has certain authorities and responsibilities. So that is, and we have a mechanism to determine how that's broken down. Here is a nice screen showing what the competitive regulatory agencies are. I showed you the screen already, but the rating system is the mirror image of the competitive regulatory agency. And they need to be full governmental systems for a variety of reasons. They won't have nearly the power, but the rating floors are going to be powerful and keep it so much from going up to the monopolized level, keeping it down at the CRA level, at the competitive governance level. Okay, we're going to concentrate on the violent crime mitigation system, and this video is on the violent crime. But it's important to understand violent crime is dealing with defining violent crime, with murder, rape, and stuff like that. All other laws, let's say education law, insurance law, finance law, healthcare law, all that is within their own sectors. Violent crime is just rape, assault, battery, murder, all the things that are physically done to somebody else to a large degree. Most thefts are going to be into the other sectors, identity sector and the like. Now, a lot of thefts are threats on somebody's body if you don't turn over your wallet or whatever. So that will be involved in both of them. But let's just concentrate on violent crime for a minute. Okay, then law enforcement is the police and the sheriffs. All free enterprise, a lot of accountability. The biggest accountability is the law enforcement authorization. But just the basic framework of our Constitution, framework of governance with competitive governance is going to create the most accountability, because people buying police contracts and the like. This could be the biggest accountability. But the law enforcement authorization is a next level accountability to really make sure things are done right. The court system is Sector 14, and the prison and correction system is Sector 15. So you need to know how it builds in. So let's go. We looked at this screen already. I'm not sure what else I want to say about it right now. So let's keep on going. And there, okay. A defendant's judicial authority, CRA, must supply the lawyer to a defendant in a violent crime cases. So that's just a clause. Sector 25, CRAs must, that's the identity sector, by the way. It's going to take care of a lot of ownership, warranties, not warranties so much, ownership It's going to take care of citizenship. It's going to take care of a lot of different things. It's going to take care of a lot of record keeping. I didn't mean to say warranties. I mean record keeping, from financial records to police records. That's how it's going to relate to this one a lot. Police records. It could be healthcare records and like. Being competitive regulatory agencies is private sector to a large degree, going to protect your information. And this Sector 25 is going to protect your police records, your criminal record. There's a way for the police to get it when they need it and when certain thresholds are unmet, but it's there to protect you. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I just explained it a little bit. If you want to pause and read it, you can. But I have other videos out there that I'm going to be doing that's really going to touch on this a lot. A person with inherent government authority needs to have be authorized by the LEA, the Law Enforcement Authorization. That's the accountability sector for anybody with inherent government power. That's from any judge, prosecutor, law enforcement officer, sheriff, even a police guard, or anybody with inherent government power needs to get authorized. Every sector board must develop a process regarding an arrest through the end of trial that respects civil liberties within this amendment or properly passed civil liberties rating floors. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole thing right now, but it's important to understand that we're going to have a process if somebody gets arrested all the way through the end of the trial, that the sector board, monopolized sector board, is going to be looking after this and making sure it's done properly. Because we go into the free enterprise court system, it's important to understand that we have to have accountability. And they can do it the way they want to, but they have to respect certain limitations, respect some norms, respect some civil liberties. But they can get better on processes by efficiencies and productivities and keeping things good and trying out new experiments, but they cannot try out bad experiments. And what I mean by that is not protecting somebody's civil liberties and the like. So because we go for enterprise, the monopolized sector board has to look after the whole deal. The actual trial is separate from the preceding, I didn't read it, but all those procedures through the end of trial process. So it's an accountability system. The current government infrastructure, everything gets sold off into the free enterprise system or to the CRAs. That includes courts, police cars, police buildings, prisons, everything. So it all gets sold. It's going to help pay down some of the debt that we have, and it goes. And we still need to use it, so we still use it. Okay, 12 minutes into this, and we're finally getting to the violent crime sector. But all that is very, very important to understand what's going on with this. So, this sector is established, which means we get 12 CRAs, or roughly. All you need is 5% and no more than 20% of the people to join together, and you create a CRA within the sector. And that's what that structure is. You get the rating system as well with that. The purpose of the VC is to define violent crimes and the range of punishments for each type of violent crime. I probably need to add in there, it deals with the prosecutors as well, so I probably need to add that onto this one. But it's within the Constitution, but I like to have a good, precise purpose of this sector. And we need to add in the prosecutors. And there might be a few other things that's going to be added in there. The VC sector has original authority at the sector board level only in the legislative branch relating to defining violent crime and the range of punishment. So we need to have one set rules about what is murder, rape, assault, battery, all the different things that are harming somebody else physically. And harming somebody else through a financial transaction, that's done with a separate sector. Harming somebody environmentally, that's a separate sector. Harming somebody with land rights, that's a different sector. This is a physical harm on somebody else's body to a large degree. And a few things with theft, but most of the theft is at the identity sector. So it relates. It's a little bit of gray areas there, but it will be separated properly. There is only one set of violent crime laws that derive from the sector board. So all the CRAs send representatives up to the sector board proportionally to the membership, so everybody's represented properly. If you don't like how one CRA is doing their job, you can switch to another one, and that's going to gain or take away power from the one you left, add power to the one that you're going to. CRAs do not create their own violent crime laws, so it's important to understand that there is only one set of violent crime laws. Violent crime is a credible threat or actual bodily harm. All other crimes are defined by a CRA in all other sectors. Now, there might be a better definition of how to do this, and once I get a lot of feedback, that might change a little bit, but that's what we're talking about right now is, I'm not going to go into it further. I'm saying there probably could be some better language, and we'll see what comes about. But that's the going idea right now. A violent crime infringes on individual fundamental rights to be secure in their person. Thus, the VC sector board legislative branch is not subject to the 70% supermajority vote. Laws are switched with a 50% representative vote, or laws are set. So, most things at the sector board level has to be done by a 70% supermajority because we don't want much there. But some things, such as violent crime laws, they have to be set and therefore that has to go down to a 50%. Plus, it's not an agreement between two people like an insurance agreement or a banking agreement or a education or insurance agreement. That only affects the two people. This is somebody that comes in and punches somebody, rapes somebody, does something horrible to somebody physically. So we don't use the same standard because you are actually harming somebody outside the contract. A judicial branch of the victim's Sector 11 CRA must hold the criminal trial for a violent crime. So it's the victim's CRA that holds the trial through the judicial, and they use the CRA from the VC from the violent crime sector. That victim's CRA supplies us the prosecutor, and then the court from the victim's judicial sector holds the court. So it's important to understand what's going on. The executive branch of the victim's Sector 11 CRA must supply the prosecutor. So the executive branch. Okay, yes, that's just the same thing I just did. We'll see if I can combine those two, but I think there's a reason I kept those separate. It's worded a little bit differently, and I think there's a reason for it. Anyway, a VC rating system must set rating floors per narrowly drawn violent crime rate category. So every sector has two different representative bodies, the CRA side and the rating system side. Both of them are representative bodies because your rating agency holds a proportional vote for you, your CRA holds a proportional vote for you, and when you switch from one to the other, that weight goes with you. So your CRA has more weight when you go there. So if you leave one, they lose that weight. When you go to another one, they gain that weight. So they represent you. So the VC rating system must set rating floors per narrowly drawn violent crime category. So rape, murder, assault, any type of violent crime. There's a lot of categories, and they need to set rating floors. And if those rating floors are above, things get above it, so we have more murders than the rating floor allows, we need to strengthen those punishments. So they have to. The sector board has to increase the whatever needs to happen to get those levels back down. They need to increase their standards on what murder is, the punishments for murder, so don't let murderers out of jail as fast or whatever the case may be. So the range of punishment and the like. The VC, Violent Crime Sector Board, must set a bar regarding the severity of the crime for the death penalty cases and must create an increased bar for the standard of evidence. So death penalty needs a higher level of evidence. So instead of above a reasonable doubt, you have a higher standard. I'm not exactly sure what that standard is, but that sector board needs to set that standard, and it needs to be higher than a simple assault or something like that. If the prosecutor declares that evidence meets the death penalty standard, the trial must begin 30 days after that declaration, and the trial must go to verdict by 30 days after the trial starts. So I want death penalties only when it meets very high standards, but once it meets those high standards, I want the trial to happen rapidly, and if they allow any defense needed, actually we give some money for that defense to make sure every avenue is looked at to make sure the prosecutor's case is actually set and that bar is met. Okay, if the court convicts on death penalty grounds, all appellate courts have 30 days to rule. So appellate courts cannot take years like they do now. And if the conviction stands, the execution must occur 40 days after the conviction date. So we want murderers, to a very large degree, to be put to death within 2 or 3 months of the crime. We don't want them staying on death row for years upon years and then dying of natural causes in prison. Anyway, Sector 12, the law enforcement. Sector 13 is law enforcement authorization. Sector 14 is the court system. Sector 15 is the prison and corrections. And this video is pretty much done here. This shows you all 30 sectors again, just to give you a reference of what we're doing. Here's 5 in the charity system, 5 in the foreign protection system, 5 in the violent crime system. I just want to give you an idea of what's surrounding this. And then the other 15 sectors and how that's going to relate. But violent crime is one of the smaller sectors within this whole system, but it's highly important, and it's one of the most important governmental duties to protect people from violent crimes or prosecute people who committed those violent crimes. So you try to do the best you can to protect people, but we don't want to be in a police state where we don't have any freedom. So we give people freedom, but when they do wrong, we want to put them through the system as quick as possible, as fair as possible, respecting civil liberties and the like. Here's that system again. You need to keep on understanding this system, so that's why I come back to this. But it's very important to understand the full breakdown. My next video is going to be on law enforcement and how that is going to work within the free enterprise system with the responsibilities. How can all work? A lot of people think that the law enforcement has to be by government. No, it does not. We need good accountability and we need a good structure, but it can't be in the free enterprise system, or greatly into the free enterprise system. Nothing's ever totally into the free enterprise system, but we want to give as much free enterprise as possible and only take away a little bit of liberty away from the free enterprise system only when it's creating negative externalities or to create a rule of law. Anyway, everything's real easy to see on my website, and please consider a donation to Haley 2024 The Movement. There's a donation site on my website, haley2024.org. And until the next video.